I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The board will now, the time is 5:30. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to discuss personnel or hear complaints against personnel. Section 551.076, discussion regarding security devices or security audits. And the time is 5:31. The board will now convene in open session, and the time is 6:17. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast ISD School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the matters from the floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action item, you will be called at that time. We wish to emphasize that this is a business meeting of the board, and while those in attendance may disagree about issues, it is our expectation that everyone will conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner. Disruptions to this meeting by anyone will not be tolerated. In the event any person or group disrupts the meeting, a warning will be given to stop any disruptive behavior. Anyone persisting in the disruptive behavior will be removed from the meeting. The board may also call a recess in the event of persistent disruptions so that individuals who engage in the disruptions can be removed. It is our intent to conduct the meeting in an orderly fashion. Finally, I'd like to remind you that it's the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. All right, so item 5. Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, Nimitz Middle School, Ms. Jennifer Cooper, Principal.
Staff and distinguished guests, I am honored to stand here as the principal of Nimitz Middle School and introduce two remarkable young leaders from our campus whose talents and commitment have left a mark on our school community. First, I'd like to introduce Victoria Rivera, one of our 8th grade STEM students who will lead us in the invocation tonight. Victoria embodies excellence in every facet of her school life. She serves as president of the 8th grade Student Council and vice president of the Students Offering Service, we call it SOS. Her contributions extend beyond leadership. Victoria is a valued member of our advanced choir, where she has earned a sweepstakes title. She's a dedicated member of the National Junior Honor Society, Academic UIL, and STEM Scholars, and has even received the prestigious Silver President's Volunteer Service Award for completing over 75 volunteer hours in our community and across NEISD elementary schools. Victoria is a true scholar and a determined young woman with a vision. She aims to attend MIT and pave her path toward a PhD in epidemiology. And while she excels academically and in service, Victoria is also the best big sister to her younger brother, Luke, who happens to be celebrating his birthday by attending this fabulous NEISD board meeting. Yes. So happy birthday, Luke. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share that she is the top entrepreneur for, just wait for it, selling the most Girl Scout cookies in the Southwest region. Yes. She expresses heartfelt gratitude for her time at Nimitz and in the STEM program, where she's found inspiring mentors and guidance from her teachers. We're so proud to have Victoria here tonight, accompanied by her supportive family. Her parents, Marcy and John Rivera, her brother, Luke, and her grandmother, Virginia Rivera. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Next, I am delighted to introduce you to Jaden Jones, or as we affectionately know him at Nimitz as JJ, who will lead us in the pledge tonight. JJ is a respected leader in our junior cadets program and a true team player. His peers and coaches alike recognize his dedication across multiple sports. This is going to wear you out. Football, basketball, tennis, golf, and track, where he has earned the Best Teammate Award. JJ serves on the student council and plays in our school band. He's also a proud member of the National Junior Honor Society, an honor roll student, a member of the chess club, and participates in UIL. JJ dreams of attending either UTSA or the University of Texas to become an entrepreneur, and he carries with him the lessons and guidance from two mentors he deeply appreciates: his junior cadet teacher, Mr. Robert Gonzalez, and his coach, Eric Puga. These two have had a meaningful impact on his journey at Nimitz, and he's grateful for their support. We're thrilled to welcome JJ tonight, who is joined by his mom, Tamaki Christian, and his sister, Deasia, and his, and his sister, Deasia. Yes. Please stand and be recognized. JJ. All right. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite both of you up, and for Victoria to lead us in the invocation, followed by JJ, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Please join me for the invocation. As we gather here tonight, I'd like to reflect on the importance of the choices we make as a community. Every decision we discuss impacts the future of our schools and the lives of all the students within them. As an 8th grader, I know firsthand how these decisions shape our daily experiences, from kindergartners just learning to read to seniors preparing to graduate. At our school, we hold the core values of honor, courage, and commitment close to our hearts. These are not just words, but principles that define who we are. Honor reminds us to respect each other's ideas and to approach every conversation with fairness. Courage helps us face tough decisions, ensuring we have the strength to do what is right even when it's difficult. Commitment drives us to work tirelessly, never giving up until we find the best solution for every student, teacher, and family in our district. I hope we approach this meeting with open minds and hearts guided by kindness and the desire to make our school a better place for all. May these values of honor, courage, and commitment guide us tonight as we engage in meaningful conversations and make decisions that will shape the future of our education. Together, let's continue building schools that inspire learning, creativity, and growth, leaving behind a legacy of excellence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice, and for all. And now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated.
Victoria and JJ, if you guys want to come forward, and Miss Cooper too. Y'all come on up here for a picture. And parents, you're welcome to stand up and take a picture after they're done taking the official photo. Thank you, JJ and Victoria. Appreciate y'all being here. Families, thank you for being here. You all have super busy schedules, it sounds like, so you're welcome to leave if you need to. Other than Luke. Luke said he wanted to stay for the meeting. He wanted to come run the meeting if he wants to. He could do that. Anyway, thank you all for being here. All right, item 6. Recognitions. So we have a few things going on the month of October. October 9th is Texas Education Human Resources Day. So on Wednesday, be sure to remember that. Next week, October 14th through 18th, is National School Lunch Week. The theme is School Lunch Pirates, Find Your Treasure. And I know there's a handful or several trustees that are going to be helping serve lunches during that week. And if you haven't responded to Ms. Turner about signing up, please do so they can get you in there. And we got some special shirts that we get to wear when we serve lunch. So that's next week. October 21st through 25th, the following week, is National School Bus Safety Week. So I guess it's not necessarily bus driver week, but please be sure to thank your bus drivers and everybody be safe while you're on a school bus. And that is all I have. Item 7, matters from the floor. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised during using the district's grievance policies, 2, a personnel action, 3, a student disciplinary matter, 4, a complaint about a particular student, 5, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. If you signed up to speak for a specific agenda item, you'll be called up when the board reaches that item. Please remember that this is a business meeting of the board. Any person or group engaging in outbursts of any kind causing disruption to the meeting will be warned, and if they persist, will be removed from the meeting. This is to ensure that all speakers have an opportunity to make comments without interruption, and that the board members are able to pay full attention to speakers without any distractions. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the Superintendent's Office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Ms. Secretary?
Number 1. It's taken me a long time to get to number 1, so I just want to relish it for a little bit. So, President Byer, members of the board, Dr. Micah, I'm Patsy Esterline, representing teachers and support personnel for Northeast AFT. Working with teachers and support personnel all over this state, Texas AFT has produced the Educators' Bill of Rights, which outlines what teachers and support personnel need to be successful. These include rights to reasonable working conditions, to a secure retirement, to a healthy, safe, and secure working environment, to meaningful training and development, to democratic representation, to fair wages, to quality child care, to academic freedom, to organize, and to be free from religion in schools. As you know, there are huge problems in Texas education. These are not just financial, which is why our Educators' Bill of Rights has 10 goals. The Charles Butt Foundation recently released its annual poll of Texas teachers. Their poll found that fully 78% of teachers want to quit teaching. Fully 77% of teachers say that they are not paid a living wage. Adjusted for inflation, the median salary of Texas public school teachers in 2023 was $5,000 less than it was in 2020. Since then, the problems have worsened. The Charles Butt Foundation also reports that fewer than half of surveyed teachers say their administrators regularly advocate for them in interactions with parents. That's like 45%. Or provide opportunities for them to develop their teaching skills further. That was 43%. The percentages fall further for motivating them to remain in their profession at 30%, or encouraging them to advocate for their needs at 27%. We intend for our Educators' Bill of Rights to address these issues through legislation in January, as well as local action by school boards. And we hope you will each sign on in support of the rights. A copy of the Educators' Bill of Rights was left at your desk. We will be developing a local program, and we ask that you work with us. This crisis is not one of the school board versus the legislature versus the administration versus the union. It is all of us who care about public education working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, matters from executive session. A, personnel, including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel, including but not limited to administrative appointments. Do I have a motion to approve hiring of new personnel as presented in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Chidgey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Villarreal. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Item 9, presentations. A, intruder detection audit. Dr. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we discussed in executive session, TEA's Safety Department has begun doing our door audits. So this past month, and really into this month actually by now, we've had 13 campuses already go through it. And we've had some findings. And look, I know Ms. Villarreal, we talked about it back there, but safety and our doors are everybody's problem. They really are. And I often have conversations with folks who come to our schools, and I say, when you walk through our doors or out our doors, are you checking to make sure that it closes behind you? And I always remind people that we don't leave our homes not making sure our front doors are locked or our garage doors are closed. We really do need every single person checking doors. Because what we're finding is doors are locked and things are, but they're soft closures, which means something prevented that door from closing all of the way. And Ms. Chidgey, I loved what you said. Did you hear it click? That's it. Did you hear the door click? I've told my staff as they go out and do campus visits, we need to be checking the doors. I know that they're doing it, but we need everyone to do it, whether you're coming out or not. And then the last thing I want to state is staff, there is absolutely no reason to prop a door open, period. In today's world, that is an unacceptable practice. And so I need to make certain that our staff is not seeing I've only got it open for 30 seconds. It's never okay to prop that door. The first line of our safety protocols is that locked door. That's why it's all of our jobs together to make certain that we're creating the safest environment for our students, for our staff, and for any of our visitors at the school. So thank you, Mr. Byer.
Thank you. Item B, bilingual ESL program evaluation. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, executive staff, and guests. I would like to ask Alicia Calderon, Senior Director for Bilingual ESL Program, to come forward for this agenda item.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. So every year, the state requires us to do an evaluation of the program and present it to the board before November 1st. So I'm here again one more year with our program evaluation. As you can see, one of the things that we always point out is the growth of our emergent bilinguals in our district enrollment in all of our campuses. And I have several years of data here, and we have reached this year, not this year, I'm sorry, this is October of 2023. So our numbers are always a year behind. It is 20% of the district enrollment. And we have reached 11,537. So the numbers for this year, for 2024, will probably not be finalized until December of this year, when we go over snapshot and then we go ahead and go back and check all the information that is correct and what we submit to PIMS. This is more or less where our students are distributed in terms of servicing or different programs. So emerging bilinguals in ESL programs and emerging bilinguals in dual language programs are the biggest portion of our students. We also have non-emergent bilinguals in dual language, which is the third category that we have there. We do have some denials, and M1 and M through M4 is monitor students, students that have been reclassified and that are now in the mainstream. Oops, sorry. Last year, we had 167 teachers on the waiver. And we had 64 teachers that actually passed their exams. 25 of them are not longer with us. They either retired or moved on somewhere else. As of September 26th, when we gathered our data for this presentation, we have 88 requests for ESL waivers for 2024. And we have 12 requests for an exception for bilingual teachers. What we provide for teachers is 12 hours of professional development, offered at least 5 times a year to support with their exams, and that's including in the summer. So we start in the summer, we go all the way to the next year in the spring. And then we do 3 hours of professional development on content-based language instruction to support instruction that's in the classrooms for these teachers who don't have the certification yet, but they need to start applying the different strategies for our students. And then we also do reimbursement for their testing and certification once obtained. So once they pass the test, they can apply for, actually they apply for the reimbursement ahead of time, but then they get reimbursed. TELPAS is also a big part of our evaluation, which is the Texas English Language Proficiency Assessment System, which is an English proficiency test administered to all emerging bilinguals at the end of each school year. It doesn't matter if they are being serviced in one of our programs or not. So that means the denials, the parents who did not want, their kids to be in either bilingual program or an ESL program, they also take the TELPAS, and we also look at that data. And it assesses the 4 language domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. All components are tested online as of spring of 2023. So last year was our first year that we did the online testing. This year was, in 2024, was the second time that we did online testing for all of the domains. So the state puts cutoff points where we need to look targets where kids need to reach. At the elementary level, middle school, and high school level, they're all different. So the target for the elementary was 49%, and what that means is that the children need to make 1 year progress in the composite score. So it's not just the listening or the speaking or the reading or the writing. It's all of them, all 4 domains together. They need to move from beginning to intermediate, or intermediate to advanced, or advanced to advanced high. So 1 level. And as you can see, we have almost all of our grades at the elementary level met that target, except for first graders. In middle school, 7th and 8th grade met the target, except for 6th grade. And then at high school, everybody met their target. These are scores on STAR, and this is 2024. This is raw data. This is all students, or all EB students, okay? So this is emergent bilingual in elementary classrooms for reading. Emergent bilinguals in elementary classrooms for math, science, and now middle school, reading, middle school math, middle school science, and social studies. And I just wanted to point out that in the dual language programs, the social studies is taught in Spanish, but they test in English. In high school,
I would say, before you move on, is the social study, or is the science also the same way?
No, it's only the social studies in middle
social
school.
studies.
Yes.
Okay.
In high school, we have biology and Spanish as well.
Okay, I just jumped ahead, sorry about
Yeah, that's okay. So English 1 and English 2, ELCs. That's a combination of the two tests. Then we have algebra, which is this past year was also taught in Spanish and tested in English. Biology, same thing. In Spanish, tested in English. And then U.S. history, same thing. It was taught in Spanish, tested in English. So our goals for this year will be to increase our EB student performance at the approaches level by 3% and meets level 2% on STAR ELC in grades 3 to 12 to reduce the achievement gap between the mainstream and emergent bilingual students. And this is for all bilingual students or all EB students in dual language programs and in ESL programs as well. The increased TELPAS performance of EB students by 1 proficiency level to 50% in first and fourth grade, and to 45% in sixth grade. And those were the specific grades that did not meet the targets this year. Next steps, our elementary specialists continue with reading academies. We have less teachers, obviously, because we have trained heavily in the past 2 years, but we still have a good cohort of teachers needing the reading academies. And elementary and secondary specialists provide professional learning on content-based language instruction, emphasizing student discourse and student engagement, and continue coaching cycles based on teacher needs, classroom observations, and student data. Use of common formative assessments, end-of-unit assessments, and MAP to determine which campuses need support in the different content areas, and analyze district data in collaboration with all content areas to strategically support the academic growth of EBs in all programs. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have one. On slide 2, you have the 2023, 2024 numbers. I would like to know, do you have the numbers as per each SMD district?
No, I don't. We can look into it if you would like.
I would really like to see those numbers to see if it's heavily weighted in certain SMDs on this.
Yeah. I mean, my guess would be that yes, you will see a difference, but I can't tell you exactly the numbers right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll look into it. Absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate that. And one more thing. I know that this is from last year. Do we have any indicators? Has this number gone up substantially?
This year?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Again, my guess is yes, because we received a lot of students in the spring of last year, and we have continued to receive in the summer. We have tested a lot more students than what we tested last year in the summer. And tested means, when they come in saying that they don't speak English at home, or they have another language at home, we have to test them to see if they qualify for emergent bilingual services. And so we have tested a lot more students. I cannot give you exact numbers because we don't have that yet. Again, until probably towards the end of December, we'll have our numbers. So by then we can tell you.
Just remember that we're still in the PEAMS snapshot window.
Right.
So PEAMS snapshot ends
October. The end of
October.
October, 31st.
Coming up soon.
October
And so
31st?
Then we've got to clean up the data.
Right.
We have to make sure that everything's done, and that's why it'll take us maybe December, maybe
December,
to
yeah.
January
Yeah.
to have it accurate.
Please, put you on the spot. PEAMS, if you can
Oh,
explain what that is, please. Thank you.
Mr. Villarreal, you want to explain it?
What,
Yeah.
or what is it? what
Since
is
your
it-
department
just so we-
oversees it.
Just so we know what it stands for, so everybody knows.
Oh, Lord.
It's how we report data.
Educational Information Management System.
Thank you.
There you go.
People. Public. I knew it was public or people, it's just,
Thank you. Just want to make sure everybody was
Right,
aware
it's
of it.
just all the data that we collect on our student enrollment.
Across the
and-
state
And
and-
all sorts of stuff.
This may be a silly question, but why do they teach the class in Spanish but test the kids in English?
Because that's the model for the dual language program. And basically, we don't have tests in Spanish at the secondary level. By the time students get to secondary, in a dual language program, in a strong dual language program, we get what we get. So the kids are being instructed in one language with the bridging that's appropriate for those courses during that time, and then they test in English and they do really well. But it's the model of the program to maintain the language proficiency in Spanish so that they can remain proficient in this case in Spanish in their native language.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple questions. On the ESL waivers, what happened to the other people? Did they not test? Did they?
We had some that didn't test. We had some that chose not to test, I guess. But this number of 64 teachers passing the test is the highest we've had since I've been here. So then that's a long time.
So if they don't test, then they don't have ESL students in the following year?
Um,
Can they do a waiver continuously?
Correct. Yeah, we can put them on a waiver more than 1 year now.
Oh, you
Before
can.
it wasn't the case. Before it was you can only put them for 1 year and then that was it. And now it's up to the district if we can put them on more than one waiver.
Okay. Okay, I have another question, sorry. What do you think, I mean, I know you have a good surmise as to why our middle school ESL, our dual language scores are really good, but our ESL are not. Is it because we have so many different languages, or is the
That's one thing. The other thing is that we do know that ESL or the bilingual program is a much stronger form of educating students than the ESL. And so it is difficult when you have ESL students that first come into the U.S. and for them to learn the English. It takes them a long time, much longer than kids in dual language programs. And we have a lot of students that don't want services. By the time they get to middle school and high school, the beginning of the dual language program it's gone already. So, it depends where you're going to put them. I mean, we have to really place every child strategically in those classes, in those classrooms, and make that content-based language instruction very, very strong at the secondary level.
And how many languages do you have?
Well, I think we have 60 plus right now.
Well, you do a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. And I don't know if I heard this right. Did you say that denials still do TELPAS?
Yes, and yes,
Okay.
they do. And as of this year, denials have always counted. They're children in our seats in our school, so they count, right? But as of this year, we have to provide services for denials as well, linguistic accommodations and instruction. Before we didn't have to, but now we have to. I guess, I don't know exactly what the state is trying to, thinking that that's going to help support denials, but yes, they do take TELPAS. They have to be reclassified, or so just like any other EB.
Okay. And then my other question was, and it was on slide 6, there was that dip in 4th grade. I didn't know if you felt like that was attributed to one area, the listening, speaking, reading, or writing.
For TELPAS, it's usually the speaking part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the listening and speaking. We have to make a effort in getting students used to speaking to a microphone, and the environment setting in the classroom is also, when they're testing, sometimes it's very difficult to manage as well, for the teachers, for the campus and all that. And kids need to get used to it. Sometimes they have a hard time speaking into a microphone and all of that. And we see that dip across the state in 4th grade.
When they switched from teachers administering to computer administration, were there trends statewide?
Yes, we saw a huge dip in listening and speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So do 3rd grade use the microphone as well?
Everybody does. Since 2023, and they started with second grade on up. But the fourth grade, like I said, is a trend for the state, but it has been a trend for a while. And we have pointed it out to the state, and I mean, we haven't seen any revisions to the test for that specific grade level. So I really don't know if they have taken into consideration what we have, voiced, the concerns we voiced.
Because that's a huge dip
Yeah,
from
it
third
is.
to fourth,
Mhm.
statewide and district-wide, so it seems like it's a systems problem versus, or a testing problem. A test problem.
Yeah, more like it.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much for the update. It's always good to see and always good to hear the
Thank you.
information. All right, item 10, Superintendent Comments. Dr. Micah.
Thank you, Mr. President. So you may have seen this, but congratulations to Castle Hills Elementary School PE coach, Christina Diaz. She was recently surprised with a $10,000 check for a gym makeover by the American Heart Association and the NFL Foundation. Castle Hills is only one of 5 schools in the country to win that grant. So good for Coach. Yeah, I had the pleasure of being there that night. It was pretty awesome to see her get it because she was stunned. You may or may not have seen this release from the Texas Education Agency, but 65 of our Northeast schools have been recognized with a Purple Star designation for the 24-25 school year. So Purple Stars are awarded to schools that excel in meeting the needs of military students and their families. So just a fun fact, when I looked at this and I looked at how many in the state were recognized this year, we made up 10% of the schools in the state that earned that designation. So thanks to the Military Child Education Coalition for their student-to-student program that helps us earn this distinction. I wish she would have stuck around, but Jennifer Cooper was recognized as the TASP, so that's the Texas Association of Secondary School Personnel, as their Principal of the Year, and Isabel Comos Wood, one of her assistant principals, was recognized as the Assistant Principal of the Year. So congratulations to both of them. Where's Miss Sharon Glosson? Yeah, so Sharon just filled me in on this as I was videoing my message last Friday. But there was a meeting in Chicago with the Urban School Food Alliance. And Sharon and one of her staff members accepted the Innovation Award from the Urban School Food Alliance for our campaign around Enchilada Wednesday. All right? Well, yeah, hold on now. This is really cool because who did they beat out? LA Unified, New York City, Chicago, Philadelphia, Dallas, and 10 other large systems across the U.S. And then last but not least, but if you haven't driven down Wurzbach Parkway and seen our rappel tower, it is up, and we actually have its groundbreaking next Friday. But this weekend, Camp Henson, which is where that rappel tower is built, hosted 51 JROTC Raider teams representing 20 school districts across Texas as far north as Denton and as far south as McAllen, and they competed in the Urban Raider Challenge. More than 500 cadets and approximately 1,500 parents were on site, making it the largest Raider event we've ever hosted over at Camp Henson. Our JROTC programs represented our district with distinction, with Lee High School taking first place in the male division, Johnson High School took second, and Legacy third in the female division. And in the mixed division, our district swept the top 3 positions. Madison teams took first and third, while Johnson took home the second. So, it's good stuff. And that is all, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Micah. Item 11, Board Business. A, possible action regarding 2025 nomination for Bear Appraisal District Board of Directors. You all received in your packets a letter that was addressed to myself from the chief, or I guess from the appraisal district. We have an opportunity as a district to, I guess, nominate somebody for the appraisal board. And Mr. Villarreal and Dr. Micah, if there's some specific questions, you all might be able to jump in and help me out with some of it. But up to today, Mr. John Fisher, who is product in Northeast, had kids in Northeast. He's been on the appraisal district or the board for the last 4 years, I think. Anyway, he has indicated to me that he would be willing to continue his position on that appraisal district board. I don't know how long the term is for whoever we nominate and put forward. But I think is it 2 years now?
Well,
or is it
they're
1
going to
year?
draw lots. There's, in the letter, it talks about, one has a 1-year term, and then the second one has a 2-year term, I think,
2-year
and then
term.
3-year terms for the rest of them.
For the rest of them.
But it's
Okay.
5 that you can nominate up to.
Yeah. So currently,
5
Mr.
individuals, I'm sorry.
Yes. So, but with the more we nominate, it sort of dilutes the votes that Northeast has.
Right, and then I
for-
think you'll be able to vote, I guess, and if you see the percentages, I think Northeast has 12% or something like
Correct.
that of the votes. So-
Correct. So, Mr. Fisher's, he's currently the vice chair of the appraisal district board as well. So, we're welcome to open it up to nominations. I would actually like to have John Fisher as one of the nominees. If anybody else has a name, we can discuss it at this time. So if there are no other names going forward, I'd like to make a motion to nominate John Fisher as our representative to the appraisal district board.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, item B, discussion and possible action regarding board policy BDF local. This is a continuation from our discussion a couple of weeks ago where we started to talk about the local policy and then sort of tabled it for the next meeting so that we could have the more detailed discussion about the bylaws at that time. One of the things I'd like to do with this, just to break it off in bite-sized chunks, is to go sort of major heading by major heading. So it looks like I think there's like 6 or 7. And that way we are clear on what the motion is, what the action is, and that so Ms. Turner and Yvonne, when they go back through the minutes, can properly record that for us. But we were all asked to submit our suggestions last week, and Ms. Turner did what she could to put it together for us so that we could try to discern everybody's comments. So tonight, ideally, if we can go through, we can discuss each section and then decide what action we want to take. In addition to that, there is a section about membership in the local policy. It's also in the bylaws. One of the requests we had for the discussion 2 weeks ago was to get input about the membership number from our SHAC volunteers. I know we received a couple of emails from some members, and I see we have a few members in the audience here with us tonight as well. So what I would like to do is when we get to that section, I want to invite them forward to speak on sort of their thoughts on membership, or if we have questions on how that works at a subcommittee or a committee level, or even as an overall full SHAC level. I don't necessarily think you have a presentation prepared for any of that, but thank you for being here. But they've graciously come to the meeting to either answer any questions that we might have or kind of find out their thoughts on how the membership will work. So, before we launch into this, do I have any general questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Shelton.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So what I heard you saying is we're going to go back through from the very beginning, not what,
No. So right now, we're just talking about BDF local, the policy.
and we're going to go through the entire thing? Or
We're
just
gonna-
the
because we
pieces
did-
that we didn't?
We did not
vote
go
on?
through the entire thing last 2 weeks
Okay.
ago, so we do have to go through it
Okay.
tonight. Or we will go through it and go it. The next agenda item, which is the bylaws, there are only 2 specific areas that we have to discuss.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So are we going to, we'll make motions at each piece? like
Yes.
School
So-
Health Advisory
So
Council?
the way it's set up is the very first heading is School Health Advisory Council. That's one section. The next one
Okay.
is membership. The next one is 4 membership categories, so on and so forth. Then we get into meetings, standing committees, terms. I'm going to break it into
Okay.
those sections because I think that's how we did the bylaws, and I want it to be absolutely clear what the proposal is, what the recommendation is, and what we're taking action on. If we go through full action on every single one of them at one time, and we end up with amended motions and whatnot, I think
Yeah.
it's going to get a little too confusing. So bear with us, but I think it's probably the best approach for this evening. So, so with that, what I'd like to do is just start at the top with School Health Advisory Council. Opening paragraph. Did anybody have recommendations or a motion for that?
I'd like to
particular
make a motion, Mr. Chair. I move that we accept School Health Advisory Section as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. All right. So this section is open for discussion. Does anybody have any comments, questions about just this opening paragraph?
I am confused because I have so many papers here and I'm trying to figure out which one we're working off of.
We're working on BDF local,
Okay.
just the policy, not the bylaws at this point.
Okay, all right, yeah. There's a lot of things in this.
Well, so I'm going to take it section by section.
Okay,
So we're going to, right now, it's just the opening paragraph that just basically sets up the School Health Advisory Council. And then the next, we'll get into membership next, which is the next section. Then after that is 4 membership categories. So there's some bold headings on the left-hand side, and we're just going to take it item by item, just so we know where we are. So, all right. So I have a motion and a second to accept the School Health Advisory Council section as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, motion passes 6-0. All right, so membership, and this is where I would like to offer any of our SHAC committee members, if you all have any thoughts that you would like to provide before we discuss the membership section. I think there was some discussion 2 weeks ago about the actual number of participants and whether that's a standing committee or in general. I'd like to offer you all a chance at this point to kind of give us your thoughts on that before we launch into any discussion about it.
I'll just kind of lead in briefly. So I'm Brandon Broom. I was the chair of the Safe and Healthy Schools Committee I've been on the SHAC for the last couple of years. One of the thoughts, I've heard some of the discussion about downsizing the membership substantially, and I've even heard some of the banter back and forth about community members. And I think I'm torn both ways. A part of this, from what I've seen, is I think it's actually good to have a large number of membership because I think you get better representation of the whole community. It's a tough balancing act because at some point you get so many, though, and it's hard to get everybody there. It's hard to get everybody. I mean, we meet at noon. That's the only time right now. It's very hard to get everybody there. So downsizing a little bit wouldn't be so bad. Where I've seen in the last couple of years, and y'all please chime in as well, is some of the controversy was over community members. And on one hand, at first I was thinking, well, maybe we just get rid of them altogether. But then again, I see there are some of you trustees that are overseeing districts with magnet programs in there, and it may be hard to find parents in those programs that live in the district, and or just find parents to serve to represent you anyway. And so the community members provide another opportunity to add a different voice in there. And so I reducing them maybe, but I don't know that I would say just hardcore get rid of them absolutely, because if it works right, the way I understood it has in the past is you nominate someone as a community member or a parent, it's going to go through all of you guys for approval anyway. And so you're not going to be able to get someone on there that not everyone agrees with already. And so I think that's really, that would be my first thoughts about just the actual membership. I think committee representation ties into that. And I know the first year that I was involved with this, we need to make sure, I think, that if we have staff members that are on SHAC, that they're evenly apportioned amongst the committees. We kind of dealt with that a little bit last year, and our first amendment to the bylaws was meant to address just that. I know in our own committee, Melinda, you were in there too, we had more staff employees than we had parents. And so when we had things to vote, they literally controlled the vote. And the voting's a whole nother topic, and I'll leave that for later. But I think the membership, to me, I think bigger numbers is better. I think you get a better overall representation of community values by doing that. So I don't know. I'd caution you about cutting it too much. I think you send the wrong message. I think the board, the previous board now, spent a lot of time in amending the bylaws a couple of years ago, and I think they're pretty good. We were tasked with adding some suggestions for improvements, and that's all we did. But I don't know that things seem to be still in the process of being revamped, and I think overall there's been some kinks to iron out, but they're working pretty good. So I don't know that I'd rock the boat too much. That would be my personal thought.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for the invitation to attend tonight's meeting, and thank you guys for all that you do for our kids and our schools and our teachers. My name is Lauren Peterson, and I have been on the nutrition subcommittee for the last 2 years, and last year I did join the executive committee as the chair for the nutrition subcommittee. In regards to Mr. Byers' request for input on the size of SHAC and the subcommittees, I will share the following. I work for a very large global healthcare company. In my organization, it is widely accepted that our size does slow us down and decreases our ability to move quickly and to be agile. In my experience, I do think we could scale down the size of SHAC membership. I think it would be reasonable to see each single member district have 4 parents. I think the parent voice is absolutely the priority. In addition, I feel that each subcommittee should absolutely have at least 1 staff member. I think the staff voice is very, very important. And I do think it's important that the staff member assigned to a committee be someone that is appropriately trained and educated for that committee, almost like a specialist, to serve as kind of a content expert and to help us navigate what we're trying to work through. But the staff voice does absolutely matter. I did not tell Sharon I was going to include her in this, but I hope you're okay with this. Sharon Glosson has been an invaluable resource to the nutrition subcommittee, but she only comes as an invited guest because she is not a permanent member. But I think she absolutely should be there. And without Sharon, we would not be able to get any of our work done. Evan is also an amazing staff member. I don't know where he is, but we've loved having Evan on the committee as well. But Sharon knows the ins and outs, and without her, we would not be able to get anything done. So that's why I think it's important to have a content expert like that. Community members are also important voice. And so, in my opinion, I think 1 community member per committee would be appropriate. And while nutrition may need just 1 staff member, I recognize other committees may need more. I can imagine that Chase may need more content experts. I haven't been on that committee, so I'm not exactly sure. But I could see maybe, Brandon and I might disagree on this, but I could see each committee having a different number of staff members. So, and I also would like to make it clear that My colleagues on the shack work incredibly hard and are very dedicated to the kids and to the teachers and the schools in Northeast. And we recognize that we serve at the pleasure of this board. We also serve for our children and our schools. And we recognize that we are empowered by the board to make recommendations while the board has the absolute authority to act. So thank you for inviting me to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Lori Fitch, and I'm the co-chair, the chair of the physical fitness. Kind of along the lines of Brandon, I do feel that a larger shack is more helpful, made up of parents. I think parents should be more than 50% of it. I do think each subcommittee should have a district employee. Like Lauren, I agree that perhaps like Chase could use two. I think right now two sit on it. I think your nursing services and then someone else. But like in the case of my committee, the physical fitness, we have one district employee and he fits the bill, and I think that works. Where I do think community members are very important, but I do believe that a community member ought to be just a community member and not have a child in the school. I do think that's important. It muddies the waters between what's a parent and what's a community member. And I know that might make it, once you have a child out of school, you might be an older community member, but I think you could have a business. I won't get into the details, but I feel that is an important line that would be drawn. I'm trying to think what else I might add to it. I hesitate to take away the community because they have a voice. You have a business. What happens in the district is important to you. Your business may pull students later on into your workforce, and they should have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all being here. And I think as we go through this, we may have questions. I'm not positive, so if you're able to hang on for a little bit, then we can use you as a resource.
I would say too, the bylaws, there were, if y'all are discussing those and need some input, because we were all three of us were at almost all those meetings.
Yes.
So if you need some feedback on, hey, where are these comments coming from?
Perfect, yes. And that'll be the next agenda item, so don't go too far. All right, so in the membership category, we have kind of two in a row. One is just sort of the generic membership area, and then the next one we'll talk about is the actual four membership categories. So in the membership category, or in the membership section, it looks like there's like 3 paragraphs, and entertain any discussion or motions.
I'd like to make a motion.
Can I ask a question before we get any farther?
Yes. Hang on one second, Ms. Shelton. Ms. Villarreal. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
sorry.
You're fine.
Dr. Broom, I have a question for you. You said something that concerns me greatly. You said that you had admin that was kind of overriding or overpowering. Can you explain that a little bit?
This is back 2 years ago. And so part of that, I think, was addressed as we addressed the bylaws a year ago already. We had, our one particular subcommittee was heavily weighted with staff members, but they in a perfect world, I think majority of us agree that yes, they're invaluable, and it would almost be nice if they floated in between committees as needed, because they're a great resource for us when we're trying to figure out what the staff needs. But when they have a vote, and they're out and they outnumber the parents, and it could just be the particular day, but if they do have a vote, it's easy for them to have their way. And so there were several times when it felt like the agenda was being controlled, more or less, and the votes were being controlled. That, I think, was brought up, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. We didn't really get much pushback against anybody when we said, I think everybody agreed that was not right, and so we've tried to reapportion that, but I think some of the recommendations in the bylaws for furthering your all's discussion bring up this point. of that, and should they vote or not? That's kind of a different topic than just the membership part. But I don't want to get off topic and steer you guys away. But that was part of my comments to the membership in the committees in general too. And I think if we downsize it a little bit, that's fine. But just like Lori's suggested, maybe each SMD has four SHAC representatives. We still have, you downsize the whole SHAC a little bit, but we still have good equal representation amongst every subcommittee. But you just want to be careful if you have a subcommittee that's stacked really heavy with district employees, especially if they're getting the right to vote. It sends the wrong message.
That concerns me, that you would feel that you were being pressured one way or another. That's something I think we really need to look at.
But I don't think that was happening in this past year. I think that was the situation maybe potentially a couple of years ago.
I understand.
Some perception.
I get that, but I don't particularly think that admin should have a vote.
Well, so we'll get into that in the next section, because that gets into the 4 membership categories. That includes district's personnel. So on this particular one about membership, it is sort of the general guidelines for kind of the makeup of the personnel. And so, Ms. Shelton, you had the comment.
I was going to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that under the section membership, the 3 paragraphs read as follow. And I'll go slowly, Ms. Peggy, because I know you're going to try to write it down.
And they'll go back through the video and catch that as well.
Okay. The board appointed membership will be in accordance with Education Code 28.004 and the adopted bylaws. The appointees shall be parents, legal guardians, and community members. And community members. And at least 51% of the appointees shall consist of parents or legal guardians of enrolled students in the district, period. Parent membership must serve as chair, co-chair, and secretary. Parent membership must serve as chair, co-chair, secretary, and/or parliamentarian. Parent/legal guardians of the enrolled students must not be benefit receiving employees of the district, period. It's paragraph 1. Paragraph 2, each single member district board trustee shall select individuals in the parent/legal guardian and community member categories as described below. The complete list of SHAC member appointees shall be formally approved in a public vote by a majority of the board at a duly called board meeting in the first semester of the school year, of the academic year, period. Paragraph 3, each parent/legal guardian and community member selected by the board member serves at the pleasure of the board member who appointed them. The parent/legal guardian or community member may be reappointed for another term of service as long as they meet the eligibility requirements listed below. When there is a new board member elected or appointed by the board in the event of an unexpected vacancy, the new board member shall select the parent/legal guardian and community members to serve to represent the new board member's single-member district. Likewise, a board member may opt to retain some or all of the SHAC members representing their SMD, period.
All right. I have a motion from Ms. Shelton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. All right, any questions or discussion about what Ms. Shelton read through for that first membership section, those 3 paragraphs?
So did we not say a number?
There,
I'm looking at this and it's showing that we've reduced it to 28 members. But there's 28 members and there's a 40 and there's a 43.
That's not what I read. That's not what I suggested.
So what she read was her motion, which does not have a specific number. And just jumping ahead, there is a specific number in the bylaws, and I think as we discussed 2 weeks ago, that trying to scale back the policy enough to where it's flexible, that we don't have to do this every year.
So it's better to leave the numbers out of the
So we're going
local
to,
and
take
define
it out of the policy
in the
and put it
bylaws.
in the bylaws?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's currently in the bylaws.
Right, and we're gonna
which
keep
we'll
this
discuss
generic.
later. And so I think Ms. Shelton's recommendation is to just reference Education Code 28004, which spells the general framework of how many members you're supposed to have, which is only 5, but we know that that's lower than, well, I'm making an assumption there, but this way we don't spell it out specifically in this policy, and it stays consistent, and we don't have to go back and change it every time we decide, if there's numbers drop or something doesn't work. So that is the current recommendation. Any other? Yeah, we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions about this particular 3 paragraphs? All right, seeing none, motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 6-0. All right, next section, 4 membership categories. We have parents, legal guardians, community members, district employees, and board of trustees. Do I have a trustee? I would prefer to do it all together if we can. Do I have any trustees with a comment or a motion they'd like to make for this particular section?
Okay.
Ms. Thompson?
I make a motion for the following. So I'm starting at 4 membership categories. The first paragraph, to remain, each May, the SHAC facilitator will provide a list of known, current, or upcoming vacancies to the board members in their respective SMD and a list of volunteers maintained on file through the SHAC volunteer application process. The second paragraph, each parent/legal guardian member must have a child enrolled in the district, reside in the single member district they are representing, and not be, we'll add, benefits receiving employee of the district. The next paragraph, which is really only a sentence, just saying that the SHAC shall include parents, legal guardians from each SMD. So that's removing the numbers, which will move. The next paragraph stating community members must be 18 years of age or older and reside within NEISD boundaries. Community members shall not be parents or legal guardians of school-aged children, whether their children attend NEISD or not. And then the next paragraph should state each board member shall include a community member/member. These slots can include any community member in categories as defined in Education Code 28004. And then on the district employees piece, again, it was just more leaving out hard numbers right now. The SHAC shall include district employees. The board will annually approve employee positions who will serve 1-year renewable terms. The superintendent will provide the names of employees in those positions for inclusion on the SHAC membership. And then board of trustees remains the same. 1 board member may serve on the SHAC as an ex officio, non-voting member.
All right,
So do we need a second?
I have a motion for those several paragraphs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Chidgey. All right, discussion. Turn on your mic, please. Thank you.
For the first paragraph, Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
did you say Shack administrative liaison, or did you say facilitator?
Oh, it needs to say administrative liaison, that's correct.
So change that right to administrative liaison?
Yes.
And then did you include a board member may appoint a parent who has a child in either? You didn't include that, correct? In the yellow?
Tell me.
I wanted to add NEISD, but what was your second pair?
Okay, I did not include.
Okay, got it. No problem.
I did not include that.
Okay, so then my friendly amendment is just to change that from facilitator to administrative liaison.
Yes. I second that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Cox?
Ms. Thompson, you didn't include the line where it says SHAC may include 3 parents, legal guardians?
No, took all the hard numbers out, and we
Okay.
can clear those things up
Okay, thank you.
later.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Villarreal.
First of all, we have magnet programs on our campuses, and those magnet kids have parents who are highly involved. That's why I added a board member may appoint a parent who has a child in either a magnet program, because I didn't want to, and does not live in that board member's single member district, because you have a magnet program. I have multiple magnet programs. I think all of us. I know Ms. Shelton does. So I think excluding those parents would be doing our district a great disservice.
Okay. I actually, in this position, thought I was a magnet school parent, so I kind of put myself in this position as I was thinking about that. And part of our goal is that our membership shall strive to reflect the geographic, ethnic, gender, and economic diversity of the district. And I know I'm speaking for myself, but as a magnet family, we didn't represent the geographic, we didn't live there, ethnic, gender, or economic diversity of the magnet campus that my child attended. And so if I saw it as if we were really getting the picture of the people who lived in that SMD, that they needed to reside within that SMD.
Well, I have to disagree. I feel like these parents, actually, for example, on my NEISD program, these kids, they audition, they come from everywhere, they have a lot of skin in the game, and I feel like that's discriminatory. And I've had, over the last couple of years that I've actually served on this board, I've had complaints from parents in the magnet programs feeling like their voices were not heard. And I feel like if you have a parent that's willing to step up, and that's a parent who is highly involved in our schools, I think they are assets to our districts. And I think that because we do have a diverse type of district, we have a lot of different programs, and I think that these parents should have a voice also. If as a board member, we should have the right to say we would like a parent from, in my case, the NEISD program, or any of the other programs that I have on my campuses. So I don't want to exclude anybody. I feel like if they're willing to participate, I want their voice.
So I too want their voices, but if they want to be on the SHAC committee, then I think they should represent their single member district. So if they live in my area but attend a magnet school in wherever, then I think they need to be on the SHAC committee, that I need to appoint them rather than you appoint them. So you appoint the people that live within your area, which is to the spirit of what you just read, the geographic. So I mean, I don't think it's discriminating against them because they can be a member within their single-member district. And I hope they will be if they are interested in doing that. They can apply.
However, they are bringing their children into a particular SMD, and their child is in that SMD, and so they are going to associate themselves more with that particular SMD. And I think as a board member, I think we should have a little bit more flexibility. I think we're putting ourselves in boxes. And with all of this, it's like we're narrowing ourselves down and narrowing ourselves down and narrowing ourselves down, and we're forgetting about people who are willing to actually step up and help us, with this quest to make our district the best. And that person may come to me, or they may go to you. They may be, residing in your district. They may be going to your STEM program, and they reach out to you, and whereas they may not get onto the shack. If your person came to me, I may say, well, no, because I have to be, I can't do this. So I just think we need to be a little bit more flexible. And that's always been a bone of contention. And I know that I've had multiple people reach out, and that was highly irritating to them.
Well, I have to remind you, Ms. Villarreal, I think you fought to get rid of your magnet people.
No, you're absolutely
because you
correct.
didn't have representative from your community several years ago.
Because I had people that were just appointing people willy-nilly into my
Right.
district, and it wasn't even the person that was sitting in this chair that was actually doing the appointing. There's a big difference in that. If you start, just saying, oh, well, I'm going to take this one from over here and putting this one over here, there's a huge difference. If it's the board member's choice to put that person in, or if that person has just been installed in that's a big difference.
Right. And I think we actually just, in the last section, gave flexibility to being able to make those decisions as an individual trustee. So, any other questions or comments related to that?
Mr. Chair, call the question.
Yes.
I
I'm sorry,
called the
what'd you say?
question.
Oh, you did. Thank you. All right, I have a motion to call the question, meaning no further discussion on this particular item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right. So I have a motion and a second for Ms. Thompson's, recommendation with the friendly amendment from Ms. Shelton. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
I said aye, it just wasn't.
Okay, Ms. Chigi said aye. Okay, motion passes 6-0. Or Ms. Villarreal, did you vote?
I'm still stuck back here. I'm not impressed with this.
Okay, so
I'm going to have to say nay.
nay? Okay, so motion passes 5-1. All right, next section, small paragraph, chairperson and vice chairperson. Does anybody want to make a motion or have comments on that particular section?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm at executive committee.
It was changing
That-
the word.
That was added as
Oh,
a
voila.
suggested
Okay,
edit.
I'm sorry.
In the packet that we received. So the way it currently reads is chairperson and vice chairperson, is how that reads.
So where are we right now?
We are on the section that says chairperson and vice chairperson. It's right after the line that says Board of Trustees from the previous section.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion.
Ms. Thompson would like to make a motion.
Okay. And this was a recommendation to change it from chairperson and vice chairperson to executive committee. And then we are in the first paragraph. And my suggestion is through Robert's Rules of Order nominating process, the SHAC shall elect a parent, legal or legal guardian chairperson, a parent, legal guardian vice chairperson, and a parent, legal guardian secretary from members in accordance with SHAC bylaws at the first meeting of the academic school year. Each may serve a 2-year term and may serve 2 consecutive terms if reappointed. Next part, am I going on to meetings or?
No, we'll stop there.
Okay.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion, second from, who was that? Ms. Shelton? All right. Discussion, questions about this paragraph?
Would it be re-elected or reappointed?
I think it would be reelected if they're, because we're not appointing.
Yes, sorry, I changed that and I wasn't
Okay.
supposed to.
So leave reelected instead of reappointed. The only suggested edit I would make to that is not including Robert's Rules of Order in that, mainly because we cover that in the bylaws.
Okay.
I don't know if that would, if you would agree to that. Okay. So I think everything, in my opinion, everything else read fine, just I would strike the reference to Robert Rules of Order, since
So-
that's covered in the bylaws.
So, Mr.
Yes, Ms.
Chair,
Shepherd.
are you saying that it would start, the SHAC shall elect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I added that actually because I was giving them guidance into how to select those people. But do we just want to leave it where they?
I guess in my opinion, that's where the bylaws will cover that. Okay. Or because we included that in some of the other sections.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Got it, yes.
To kind of blanket cover how they operate as a committee. So. Any other questions about that section? All right, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 5-1. Next section, meetings. Entertain any motions or comments related to meetings. Ms. Shelton, did you have one?
So I'd like to make the following,
It's okay.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
This is a mess. It's very difficult to follow along with this. I don't know if it's just the font or whatever, but this is very difficult.
So.
Mr. Chair, I move
Yes, ma'am.
that for meetings, that it read, the chairperson in coordination with the district's SHAC administrative liaison shall set the SHAC agenda and shall schedule at least 4 meetings per year. Additional meetings may be held at the call of the chairperson, and all SHAC meetings shall comply with and be posted in accordance with Education Code 28.004.
I have a
Second.
motion from Ms. Shelton, second from Ms. Thompson. Okay, questions, comments? So again, trying to pull it back a little bit to not give, I think what got struck was specifically talking about audio or video recording, and I think section 28.004 specifically claims that it's an open meeting and all that, so it was to try to back off a little bit on what specifically can be done. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Next section, standing committee. Ms. Thompson?
I make a motion for the standing committee to say, a parent legal guardian shall chair each standing committee. Each standing committee will consist of at least 51% parents / legal guardians. District employees may be vice chairs to help with coordination and communication between the SHAC and district staff as needed. Sorry, I'm turning pages. Refer to bylaws for election process for the chairperson, which is the Roberts Rules, which we know that, and vice chairperson of each standing committee. Standing committees shall keep descriptive notes of meetings and work sessions and must submit them to the SHAC administrative liaison. A parent / legal guardian may be appointed to the role of secretary, or this task shall be completed by the vice chair.
Second.
Motion second from Ms. Shelton. Discussion, questions?
Yes, I would like to, would you do me a favor? Could you please reread that? Because I think you put something in there about an admin as standing as a vice chair? Did I mishear?
Just a vice chair, not a chair of a committee. And it's a may, right? It's not an absolute.
See, I'm really concerned about this because I don't really feel like admin should even be able to vote, frankly. I think that they, first of all, they are serving at the pleasure of the superintendent, and I feel like it's the parents that should have that right. I know that's one reason why I said nay on this up here, because I had said that I didn't feel like they should have a vote. So I'm just concerned if we're giving admin even, because let's face it, they come in, they have our ear, they come in, they give us presentations. This is the only committee that gives the parents a voice. And it seems like we are taking that voice away by, weighting it with a bunch of admin. And I love our admin, and everything, but I think that's kind of negating the purpose of this committee.
Well, I think first, it's not an absolute, so it doesn't have to be a vice chair, but it gives the option in case it happens. Second, it's been written like this for the last 2+ years. We've had this, district employees may serve as vice chair. It actually, I think, I can't remember if it said can or shall, or not shall, it never said shall, but I think it said can, so we're basically just changing the word from can to may.
Ms.
Or
Villarreal.
that is the recommended.
I think this speaks to the flexibility, though, that you were asking about earlier, making sure we have flexibility. If everybody wins the lottery and they go on vacation to where, it gives us the flexibility, right? If something happens, that they may. It's not a shall.
That's true.
It's not an absolute. So this is about giving us the option so that we're not stuck if, go figure, something happens.
That's true. I understand that. I'm just very concerned about the fact that there could be undue influence by the admin for whatever reason, and giving them a vote.
This doesn't speak to them having a vote. This speaks to them being able to serve as vice. So I think
we already gave it up here.
But we will if we tackle each element on its own, because they do stand alone, we'll get through the process with a clear understanding. We shouldn't compile them and make it convoluted, because it's really not. At this point, we're saying, here's the flexibility that you've been asking for. If something happens, we have the option of having admin sit in, maybe until we get a vice chair, maybe someone's out having a baby, like anything can happen, right? This gives us flexibility, which is the very thing that you were talking about, 10 minutes ago, right? So and Dr. Broom said a couple things, but one of the things he said was That was like 2-3 years ago, and it's gotten better. So you have been heard, the parents have been heard, we're moving in the right direction. So I think, under the new we're moving forward. And I want to make sure we don't entangle things that shouldn't be entangled.
That's true. You make a valid point.
Ms. Gigi?
Well, I'm going to throw a ringer into this. I'd be okay taking
Ringer or a wrench?
a wrench.
Thank you.
Have my tools wrong. I'd be okay saying that the district employee, that it be a parent, be a vice chair, just because I know that the staff member may change throughout the year, get a promotion or whatever. And I know it sounds like it was 2 years ago, but I also think even last year, some of the Northeast employees struggled with even voting because they were in an awkward situation. So I would be okay saying, just taking that part off. That I don't think we need to say I think we need to say vice chairs, parents will be vice chairs. Also, because I think I want to protect the employee a little bit, I think it brings on more work in preparation and so forth, that they already have a full-time job, and probably so does the SHAC member. I don't mean to say they don't. But I'd be okay striking that and saying that the vice chair needs to be I don't even think we need to talk about the vice chair in there. Unless we need to make sure it's a parent and not a community member or an employee.
Providing them clarity one way.
I guess so. We need to include that. Vice chair will be a parent.
Don't we say that earlier? Or is that in the other document? Because I thought the may for this was about if something happens, because either earlier in this document or in the other document, we say that the chair should be a parent, the vice chair should be a parent,
I
and
thought
the
so too.
secretary
It's what
should be in the,
I
think
thought
it's
we
in this
just
one.
said that.
I think it's in this one. Yeah. And so I read this as if something happens, then
But it
they
doesn't
might be
say
able to
that.
step in. So, I mean, we can definitely,
We did say we approved in the executive committee that
Yes.
those people are parents. So this was just a safeguard. But I'm fine.
That may have been added.
Ms. Peterson?
Sorry.
We might have a comment here. Go ahead.
So we had a chair and a vice chair of the full SHAC, parents. We have a chair and a vice chair of the subcommittees.
Standing committees.
And that's, so the full SHAC must be parents.
This is
Subcommittees is
specifically
we're talking about the subcommittee
Standing
now.
committees, yeah.
oh, okay. Thank you.
And it
Don't
does
leave.
say
We get-
standing committee.
We get lost in our word salad.
So
Can't
we
get our heads out of it sometimes.
do need to specify then. And I
Okay.
would be fine saying it needs to be a parent.
I agree,
my
100%. I agree.
Ms. Thompson, you made the motion. Are
I
you?
am happy with that friendly change.
So what would the change be?
That the vice chair shall be a parent. Is that what we were going towards? Okay. So a parent legal guardian shall chair each standing committee. Each standing committee will consist of at least 51% parents, legal guardians. A parent shall be vice chair to help with coordination and communication between the SHAC and district staff as needed. And then the rest remains the same as I had said.
Ms. Shelton?
Can I make a friendly amendment to your amendment?
Yes, I'm open.
See what y'all missed 2 weeks ago?
What, what if we consider this language? A parent/legal guardian shall be chair and vice chair of each standing committee. Just gives it brevity. And then each standing committee will consist of at least 51% parent/legal guardians. Then we can scratch the
That
district
entire-
employee line altogether. And then refer to the bylaws for the elective process, et cetera.
That's perfect. That's just semantics.
Is
and
there
that
any
sounds-
issue if a parent doesn't want to be a vice chair? Is that maybe why that was included? Just to give that flexibility? Sometimes people don't step up to be, unless you're voluntold.
Yeah.
That would be my only thing, that maybe that gives the flexibility if no one steps up to be vice chair, which
Did
has happened.
standing committees run into that issue? Community member?
For that very reason.
Okay.
So how about,
Tell me.
what if we consider that I'm trying to think about how to word it. The chair and vice chair of each standing committee shall be a duly appointed SHAC representative. So that way they can be a parent or they can be a community member because they would have been duly appointed by us.
But couldn't that also mean admin?
We don't appoint admin.
A duly appointed, a duly appointed SHAC member appointed by one of the boards of trustees. A trustee appointed SHAC member.
Right.
Yeah. And we don't appoint the district staff. so-
And we don't appoint the district
Say that in
staff.
full. Say that in its
Say it
entirety,
again,
Ms.
Trey.
Shelton.
Let's see if we can't. You ready, Ms. Turner? I don't know if I remember exactly the way we framed it, but here we go. The chair and vice chair of each standing committee shall be a duly a trustee appointed SHAC member. So that's the first line. And then each standing committee stays the same. We delete district employees may refer to election.
Ms. Thompson, do you accept that?
Absolutely. Second. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item about standing committees? All right. Seeing none, I have a motion, a second, and several amendments and seconds. I think we're there. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, next section is terms. Do I have a member wishing to? So Ms. Shelton? Go ahead. Can you turn on your microphone, please? Yep.
Okay. So my recommendation is that term says the SHAC calendar begins with the board, when the board approves membership, will generally be aligned with the school year, but will not extend beyond June 30th. Parents, legal guardians, and community members shall serve 2 terms and can serve multiple terms at the pleasure of the board member so long as the parent, legal guardian, and community member continue to otherwise meet all eligibility requirements for service set forth in the policy and by bylaws approved by the board. I took out no instances and replaced that with not.
Okay. I have a motion from Ms. Shelton. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll go Ms. Cox. All right, any discussion or questions? I had one that I think could be or should be important that we just spell out in here. Where it talks, the second paragraph in that section says board members will serve one-year term, and I think it might be important to add as an ex officio non-voting member, and then just leave the rest of it the same.
I accept that. Friendly amendment.
Thank you. Any other questions about terms?
So, let me be sure I understand what you said. You're
Yes.
saying a board member only serves 1 year,
That is correct. And then it has been like, so
That's what I
it's a
thought.
rotating basis.
but that just didn't say it, so you clarified it.
No, what I clarified that the board member is a non-voting member.
Okay.
Should we
But they
clarify how the board member is selected?
I think that is in the bylaws already.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. We can double check that real quick, though. Sorry, well, this is where we have to cross-reference, even though I know it's not the agenda item. What did I do with it? Yeah, in the bylaws, it's under, sorry, I know we're jumping ahead. It's under Article 4 membership that we approved a couple of weeks ago. It just says board trustees may also appoint, oh wait, sorry. Where did it go? I did not, sorry. It's not in there. Thought it was. No, this was us, so, if we need to add a sentence, Ms. Villarreal, do you have something you'd like to propose?
I'm thinking each year that, the board will vote on one board member to fill that spot. You guys can clean that up.
Board will elect one.
Yeah, elect one, a voluntold one to go and, fill that spot.
Do you accept a sentence of that nature?
Clean it up.
Please.
Do you need something in there too about when we do it? Ooh, oh, sorry.
No, I think we.
Help
yeah.
me.
Go ahead, Ms. Gigi.
Each year or annually. The board will elect one board member
Will appoint.
to serve on the SHAC committee.
Will appoint. I like will appoint.
We're going to appoint it?
But we vote that person.
I thought we voted.
Well, we vote the entire roster. So the entire membership is voted, so it's an appointment.
So we select?
We select.
We select.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
You're good?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Select.
Okay, repeat it.
So I don't know if the word is every year or each year or annually.
Oh, no. What if we do this? With the selection of the SHAC, the trustees will appoint their ex officio
Board member.
board member. You okay with that? Okay.
Okay. Is that a new motion
No, that was an amendment to her original motion.
to her friendly motion?
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 6-0, sorry. Next section, vacancies.
I can make a motion if you want.
Ms. Gigi?
So I'm just going to change one word unless anybody wants to change more. If a parent, legal guardian, or community member vacancy occurs at any time, the SHAC chairperson and/or SHAC administrative liaison, so I'm going to change that, shall notify the appropriate board member who will select a replacement for approval by the board at a duly called meeting. Removal of SHAC members will be in accordance with SHAC bylaws as they currently exist or may hereafter be amended.
I have a motion from Ms. Gigi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Any questions? Comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Last section, bylaws. Does anybody have a motion on that section?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's say we have a shack member who becomes incredibly disruptive of the process. How, is there anything, because I was trying to look through both and I really didn't see anything about that.
No.
Is that something that we need to address?
I think it says
in
it somewhere.
in the bylaws, or?
I think honestly that is, there's an overarching umbrella that says they serve at the pleasure of the board.
So you can remove
Okay.
them.
And if it
And
gets
you
to that
should.
point, I think that is your responsibility then to approach that member. Or if it's if it's somebody in another single member district, that you approach that trustee and discuss that issue with them, to go down that route. So,
Okay.
that is absolutely within your purview to address.
Okay, I
within
just
your single
didn't know
member
if we needed
district.
to spell it out or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No.
Okay.
So,
I also think if they're following good procedures,
Right.
that can get, not, I don't want to say shut down, but it can be wrangled in.
Okay,
all right.
perfect.
Well, related to that, I'll make a motion to keep bylaws as they are currently written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Any other questions, comments about that section? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right. One down. That was the. All right, item C, discussion and possible action regarding School Health Advisory Council bylaws. If you remember, we got through the entire, or the majority of the bylaws 2 weeks ago. The only two sections that were up for discussion when we reconvened was Article 3, Sections 2 through 8, and then Article 4, Section 5, which speaks directly to the number of members on the shack. So, with that, I have no idea what I did with my copy. So, we will start with Article 3, meetings. And again, it's just sections 2 through 8, 2 through 8. That's how we discussed it when that was based on the recommendations from the shack. So, Article 3, meetings, Section 2. Do I have a trustee that would like to make a motion to open discussion?
I can make a motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox.
Let's read Section 2, Standing Committee Meetings. Standing Committee meetings will follow Robert's Rule of Order. The shack will provide opportunity for a minimum of 4 standing committee members as needed, in addition to the regularly scheduled shack meetings. Standing committees may schedule additional committee meetings, virtual or in person, as deemed necessary to move their committee work forward, accommodate guest speakers, presenters, or for other reasonable purposes not to exceed 2 per month. These meetings will be coordinated through the shack administrative liaison. All standing committee members will be included in the correspondence, and the shack chair and vice chair will be made aware of any additional called meetings. Standing committee work sessions are limited to standing committee members unless a guest is invited by a simple majority of the standing committee members prior to the work session.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for that section. Do I have any questions or discussion from any?
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Yes, you may.
So standing committee members, colon, and then the shack will provide an opportunity.
Duly noted and accepted.
I'm concerned about, okay, standing committee work sessions are limited to the standing committee members unless a guest is invited by a simple majority of the standing committee members prior to this work session. All right, great, lovely. This right here is where this was trying to prevent other trustees, from attending. I think I would like to strike standing committee work sessions are limited to the standing committee members unless a guest is invited by a simple majority of the standing committee members prior to the work session. I would like to strike that.
Mrs. Cox, do you accept that?
No, I choose to leave that in. I think that's important. Just as someone who's been on SHAC before, those groups get a coherence to them, and sometimes it can just be, it's just not a good idea to bring people in that you may not know. I think if you have a guest that comes in that can add to the discussion, or that everyone's agreed upon, that would bring in some information that might help make decisions or help make recommendations. I think at some level, that standing committee work needs to be done with just the members who are on the committee.
I have to disagree because at some point, this is our committee. They serve at our pleasure, and sometimes if there's an issue, I think that we should have that flexibility as long as we have contacted the district and told them that we wish to attend the meeting. There may be a problem that, with something, we may just sit there in our little corner and not say a word. That's fine, but frankly, I think this shows that this is actually saying to us that we do not have the right to sit in on one of those committee meetings.
We do. We just have to be asked or approved, not, I don't want to.
Yeah, be invited.
Invited, yes, invited.
Well, the thing is that this, I get that. I understand. However, there may be a time, I think what this is doing is it's telling these members that they have the right to keep board members out of their committee meetings.
But we do have a board member at SHAC meetings.
And not in the standing committee.
Not in the standing committee, but we do have representation there.
Yeah.
So if a standing committee decided they need someone over and above that, then there could be an invitation.
Well, here's the situation. I'm just going to lay it out. I have no filter. We had a situation where I was called in by a committee member who was actually being attacked in the committee meetings. And the trustee, that was filling that position could not make that meeting.
Who should not have been there in that meeting to begin with.
Okay. But the reason why is she called desperate. All right. And I do not want to block us off, because if we have any more of this nonsense going on, just my presence in that room calmed it down.
It also creates some people being nervous that a trustee is there, that they're going to get retaliated against by that. So it can go both ways.
But that SHAC member was not attacked while I was there.
Well,
okay,
whatever
so
happened
what I'm
happened.
telling you is I know it got out of control. I just don't want us to put handcuffs on ourselves. And if we have somebody that's reaching out and the trustee who is actually, because,
But we can control that from here. We don't have to show up to the standing committee meeting to take care of it. If somebody reaches out to me, we have avenues to make sure that happens. It's not going to happen at the standing committee. The only reason you're there is you would only be there to hear what is being said. All this information comes to this dais.
And to
And we
David's
make the
point-
final decision on what it is. And if there's a problem, then we'll address that problem. This is my opinion, that no trustees should be other than the one member that's going to go to the full SHAC meeting. We should let our parents, our community members do the work that they need to do, and then bring us a recommendation. We're trusting them to do what they're going to do. And if there's a problem, then we'll address that. But that problem is not going to get addressed at the standing committee. Because then you're just going to have a session where everybody's complaining about who did what, and who did everything. That's going to be unproductive as it is.
Well, when
That's
you're
my
just sitting
opinion.
there and you're not saying a word, except you're, and the person that needed to be quote-unquote protected, was not being attacked because your presence was there. And I'm hoping, that going forward, this is not going to be an issue. However, I do not want us to be blocked off if let's say, Ms. Chidgey, you had a committee member who was being bullied would you or would you not, if you got that call, would you or would you not want to be able to go to that meeting to make sure that your committee member was not being bullied anymore?
I
don't think we
it upsets
should
the
be there.
balance. I think it upsets the balance. I think, and you know what it's like when we go anywhere as a school board member now. It changes the environment, and so I think you upset the balance of what's trying to be accomplished in a standing committee meeting.
But if nothing's being accomplished because your board or your committee member is being bullied, I think there's a certain, and you can't solve it, you can't stop it, and you're being asked by the other trustee to take care of it, and, just sit. Don't say a word. Just go in, sit in the corner, don't say a word. I don't like this. I don't like being told that our committees are, blocked off from us.
I think that if there's a bully on the committee, we remove them.
So.
I don't think they should be allowed to behave like that, and if they're my person doing that, I want them off.
Okay. Is that, do you guys all agree with that? If we feel like if there's a real problem and, I guess, what would we do? Call David and have it?
If it's your appointee, then you.
I would take care of it.
Call the appointee and you take care of it.
My
So-
people better not bully anybody, okay?
So I think
that's
we've,
just not acceptable.
I think we've kind of veered into a slightly different topic, but.
But that's how I would handle it.
And I understand that, yes. I think the question right now is, I guess Ms. Cox did not accept the amendment to include a board member. The board member would have to be invited to the standing committee at this point.
So can I call for a vote at this time? I mean, I think we all know what page we're on.
All right, so I have a motion to call the question. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. All those in favor of stopping discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes 5-1. All right, I have a motion and a second for section 2. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, section 3, open meetings. Do I have a trustee wishing to, Ms. Thompson?
I will. So, open meetings. All meetings of the full shack are open to the public in accordance with applicable policy, and we can spell that out if we need to. Any written request for an agenda item will be considered and may be included on an upcoming agenda at the collaborative discretion of the chairperson, vice chairperson, and shack administrative liaison. Additionally, individuals wishing to contact the shack membership may do so by emailing shack@neisd.net at any time. The administrative liaison shall ensure all shack-related emails are shared with the full shack membership in a timely manner.
I have a motion as read. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Chidgey. Any questions, comments?
I'd like to make a friendly amendment.
Yes.
Open meetings, :
Do you accept that?
I absolutely.
Do you accept the
I
amendment?
accept
Okay.
it. She wants to, right here where it has a period on each of the end of all of these, to put colons. And
We just need to be consistent. We've
Consistent.
got periods, we've got dashes. We
Yes.
just need to be consistent.
Agreed.
Any other questions, comments about this section related to open meetings? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Section 4, public hearings.
I can make that motion.
Ms. Chigi?
It's one line. Public hearings as required by law, colon. This will be coordinated through an administrative liaison.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Any questions or discussion about this? All right, seeing none, I have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Section 5, quorum. Anybody like to make it? Ms.
I'll
Thompson?
go there. Section 6, quorum, colon.
Section 5.
I'm sorry, Section 5, quorum, colon. A quorum shall be the majority of the membership as approved by the Board of Trustees. Meetings may still be held without a quorum for purposes of presentation or discussion. However, no action or voting may take place without a quorum.
I have a motion as read. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Villarreal. Any questions, comments, amendments? All right, seeing none, I have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Section 6, attendance. I have a board member wishing to make a motion.
I'm just full of
Oh,
it
Ms. Thompson,
tonight.
you're up.
Here we go. Attendance, colon. Member attendance shall be monitored by the chairperson, who will prepare a monthly attendance report and provide to the board. Non-attendance of 2 consecutive meetings of either SHAC or standing committees within a 1-year period may result in removal. Members shall contact the chairperson, the administrative liaison, or their designee if they know they cannot attend a meeting.
I have a motion as read. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Questions? Discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Section 7, decision-making. Do I have, Ms. Thompson, do you have a
You wanna
motion?
go?
Or Ms. Chigi, would you
Go
like to
for
make a
it.
motion?
Sure. The full SHAC and standing committees will vote using a numbered, randomized, anonymous ballot. Roll call votes shall not be permitted. You know, did I get a colon in there?
That's okay. I'm
Dis-
gonna clean it up for you on the back end.
decision making.
Yeah, go ahead.
Put that
Please
in.
continue.
Okay. Each member shall be entitled to 1 vote per item. Proxy voting and absentee ballots shall not be permitted. A member must be present in person to vote. I don't think we need, okay, it was added, but it seems redundant. A member must be in person, present in person to vote. All votes shall be anonymous, and at no time shall record votes be taken. The chairperson and administrative liaison shall report the final tally of all votes to the board.
I have a motion as read. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Questions or comments?
One of the things I wanted, this is a friendly amendment, that standing committees will vote using a numbered, randomized, and anonymous paper ballot.
I like your friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Shelton?
I'd love to offer a friendly amendment. So Section 7, decision-making, colon.
I knew it was in there.
Any other questions, comments? Section 7? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Section 8, agendas. Do I have a member wishing to propose a motion?
I propose
Mr.
a
Cox?
motion for Section 8 agendas, : Agendas shall be provided for all full shack meetings. Agenda items shall be determined by the chairperson in coordination with the executive committee.
I have a motion as read. Do I
Second.
have a second? Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, the only other section we had to look at was Article 4, Section 5, size of shack. Do I have a,
I'd like to make
Ms. Shelton?
I'd like to make a motion, Section 5, size of shack, : The shack shall have no fewer than 28 members and a maximum of 40 members. The shack shall have no more than 28 parent legal guardians members and no more than 7 community members. The shack shall have no more, apologies, I'm being redundant. So the shack shall have no more than 28 parent/legal guardian members and no more than 7 community members.
I have a motion as,
Can you repeat? What? No,
Yes.
just the 28, what's 28?
So the shack shall have no fewer
Than
than
28.
28 members and a maximum of 40 members. The shack shall have no, the shack shall have no more than 28 legal, parents or legal guardians and no more than 7 community members and at least 1 district employee for each standing committee. That's the part I forgot.
Okay, so you're,
hang
I
on,
can't
let's.
talk yet, can I?
Wait, yeah, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Second?
Second.
All right, I called second, sorry. I beat you to
I'm
it.
sorry. Sorry.
That's all right. All right, so now, Ms. Chidgey, you had a question.
so I go back to the math thing. I like 4 appointed single-member district appointees. So it can be 3 parents and 1 community member. I mean, I value parents, I value a community member, but if we do 4 and 1, then the size of the committees are lopsided. If we do a nice, neat 4, 3 and 1, we have 3 parents from, we have a person from each single-member district on each committee.
So then is your friendly amendment that the shack shall have no more than 21 parent legal guardians and 7 community members? Is that your amendment?
That's what you're saying.
That is what I'm saying.
Okay, I accept that.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think we should have a parent on each, and we've already defined a parent or a community member as a non-parent. And I think it's important to have a parent on each standing committee. This is my suggestion.
Then leave the motion as it is.
And if we have an odd math
It is,
problem, we have an odd. And actually, I would like to,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Can I
Michelle.
offer why I framed it the way I did? So if we have no fewer than 28 total members for the whole body, right? That means if we decide as a collective group that we want to control all the people and we give Dr. Micah nothing because he didn't buy us ice cream, whatever, right? Then we've got 28. So a minimum of 28, a maximum of 40. To get to,
I'm good with that.
right? To get to 51%, that means we have to have 21 parents. And the reason I framed it, the shack shall have no more than 28, it doesn't say that we have to appoint 4 or 5. It just says that the total parents will be no more than 28.
No more
It doesn't
or
say
no
how
fewer?
many, no more
You
than 28.
do need to specify how many of each. And I'm okay with that. I just feel like some standing committees will be heavy with one or two single-member districts, but I'm willing to give that up.
I agree with you, and I listened to Dr. Broom. I've read all the emails. I've had people call me, and I honestly think we should only be able to appoint 4 people. But I also know that, right, each of us should be able to report 1 per standing committee, in Tracy's opinion. I also know that 68% of our people that pay taxes in our district don't have children in our district. They need a voice on the shack. So I think the way we fix that, though, is if we can each appoint 4. So if we go down to the next thing that says how many we're going to appoint, if we can each appoint 4, and that is a combination of parents and community members, but no more than 1 community member and up to 4, just depending, then we get that mix. And the reason I said no more than 28, because that means that we're not appointing more than 4. It's not saying that we have to appoint 4 parents. Does that make sense?
But no more than
That makes no
28
sense.
parents? So I think we need a parent on each standing committee. So that would be 4. So that's 28 parents. And then plus one community, plus at least 1 staff to sit on each committee.
I receive 1 staff for each committee. I struggle with having us appoint 5 people. I think that's too many. I think we should appoint 4. I really do. And the numbers I've given is so that we have flexibility, that this is a 2-way door decision. If it doesn't work, we can come back easily and change it without having to go through this entire process, which is why I've given the range of numbers. But I honestly don't think that we need more than 4. The emails say that we have too many people. The research says we have too many people. The struggle becomes, what is the composition of those 4? Is it 3 parents and 1 community, or is it all parents and no community?
Well-
And I'm going to say that we need a community member sitting there, and I don't think we should appoint more than 4 people.
But doesn't this read that the shack shall have no more than 28 parent legal guardian members?
Correct.
And the shack shall have no more than 7, which means we each get 1 community member.
That's not what that means. That
Well-
means that I'm giving us the latitude, right? So this gives us the latitude that we don't have to come back and change it every time. As we go deeper into the document, we can say what we're going to appoint. And we can say we're going to appoint 5 or we're going to appoint 4, but we know that we can't have more than 28 parents and no more than 7.
Right, I understand that, and at least 1 district employee for each standing committee. So do we need it to read that the shack shall have no more than 28 parent legal guardian members and define that? Because we want that, because we need at least 1 parent on each standing committee. That to me is the important piece, is that you have parents, 1 parent on each standing committee.
So then do we get rid of community members?
No.
So now we're going to have lopsided committees. And so now SMD2 or SMD7 or SMD1 is not going to be equally represented on a committee. That's the opportunity.
May I say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have 4 committees, okay? Each of us need to, we need to put 4 parents on those committees so that each, SMD district has at least 1 parent per committee. And then each of us gets 1 community member so that each of us will have, I think we have the 4 committees, and I think we just need to each be able to put our 4 parents on there. This is a parent-driven committee, and I think we're cutting our own throats because a lot of them will not show up. We'll have some that will maybe come to 1 meeting. Some will not even come to any meetings. So we need that backup. And I think if you start limiting us, even though the math, bears out, I get what you're trying to do. I get it. But it's just not, I think we need to keep it at 4. Each one of us needs to be able to have our 4 parents and our 1 committee member.
So one thing, Ms. Shelton, I'd like to offer is that I think in this section, we probably do need to define what that is per trustee, because we don't define that anywhere, and no. This is it. No, this is it. We took it out of the policy to put it in the bylaws, and this is the location we have to put it. So,
This is getting confusing.
Ms. Gigi, do you have a question?
Well, I'd like to hear how you all feel about this.
That I would say, as a whole, the SHAC, when we discussed this, everyone felt very strongly that they wanted a parent from each SMD on each committee. I mean, so that would be 4 parents per trustee, basically. That gives, the beauty about this is every time we met, no matter what issue it was about, we would be divided every time. And it was very easy to, I mean, we came to a happy medium, which is the way these things are supposed to work. But that, when you start to cut it down a little bit and you start to get that lopsidedness, then that's when there's the finger pointing is, and, we feel like, oh my gosh, the parents weren't evenly represented here, the district was overrepresented here. That's when you send the wrong message, I think, as a board. And I say that only after being there for a little while and seeing different committees run different ways. And I think the more you can have an even representation of parents, I think you send that solid message that, hey, this is about the parents' input, and we want it spread evenly. And the community members, I mean, I also agree that you can't get away with them, and I don't want to be, you don't want to have too many members floating around there, but I think I don't think you can go much less than 4 per trustee, because you want, unless you cut the committees down. No.
I have to agree with Brandon, but I also think this is where it becomes important that you define, what's committee, or what is a community member and what is a parent. And so, if your community member is not a parent, then you make that 4 and then the 1. And
We did say that in the policy.
okay, that's what I thought you did, but I wanted to make sure. And then I had another kind of question, because there are community members, and then we also have a senior citizen, and we have clergy. Are we going, you didn't define that. I think you're just calling it, but you've got community, and then you do have 1 clergy member and 1 senior citizen member.
That's listed in legal.
Is it listed in there?
Yeah,
It is.
it says clergy,
Okay, I
and it
didn't
does say
hear
senior
that.
citizen. So
Okay.
those 2 categories are there.
Just was curious
But wait,
on
they're
that.
defined as community members, though.
Yeah,
They
they're
Are
a
they
community
defined, or are
member,
they
and you
defined
just
separate?
chose a clergy, or you
Yes.
just chose.
They're under the
a
umbrella
position, or-
of
Okay.
community members,
Okay.
both those 2.
Well, and I will say, NEISD has historically had those 2 categories filled or appointed as part of the SHAC membership, but they do fall under the legal umbrella of just the community members that are able to participate on SHAC.
So we're appointing them
We-
incrementally?
We had them as a specific category within SHAC.
Okay.
And that's how it has been. I'm not suggesting that that's how it has to continue, but that is historically what we've done.
So let me ask you, so is what I hear you saying that you had parents, you had people that were community members, business owner, for
Right.
example, and then you had Reverend Samuel.
Like 1 clergy, 1 senior citizen.
And
But
then
as
you
a
had a
community
senior
member.
citizen. So you had a community member, a senior citizen, and a clergy?
Right, but
Plus
those
the
are
parent?
2 people. So
Not for each single member
not for each
district.
single member district, just
Just 2
for
additional
1,
people, total.
for the total.
And where'd they come from?
Somebody from a trustee would recommend.
And
each
that would
year.
be as their community member, or that would be
No,
their
that is a
just ad hoc?
completely, that's what I'm saying. So historically, NEISD has just had those 2 spots. So you get your 4 community
Right.
like as of today.
Yep.
You get your 4 parents, you get your 2 community members, there's a board liaison, then there is a clergy and a senior citizen, and then the staff.
Wow, okay.
But the clergy and the senior citizen were not 1 per district. It was just somebody had a recommendation to be appointed, and we all agreed and discussed it.
And that's how we got to 50.
That's how we got to 50.
And anytime you read about an efficient meeting, numbers matter. And when people don't get a chance to voice their opinions because we have 10 or 12 or 11 or however many, that's, I think, our objective, to decrease this number. So going from 2 community members down to 1 is already a good beginning. Going to, say, we had 8 representatives from the the NEISD going from 8 to 4, and plus the administrative liaison, I think we're going to say, I think that's what you're saying. I
Okay.
don't think we've gotten that far.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Can
That's
I-
really helpful.
Offer this,
Ms.
and we'll
Thompson.
just see.
Let's see.
Okay, for the size of shack, the shack shall have no fewer than 35 members and no more than 41 members. Each trustee shall appoint 4 parents/legal guardians and 1 community member. All appointments shall reside within the SMD in which they represent. Shack shall include up to 6 district employees. And 4 is fine. I was just trying to.
I would, go ahead. What do you
Ms.
have?
Shelton, that is, I think that was an actual amendment offered to you.
I don't receive your amendment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would like to amend, though, I'm going where you're going. The size of the shack shall have no fewer than 28 members with a maximum of 40. The shack shall have no more than 28 parent legal guardian members and no more than 7 community members and at least 1 district employee for each standing committee. Each trustee will appoint 4 shack members to include at least 3 parents, with the possibility of including to include at least 3 parents, period.
You just said 4 parents.
I didn't, no, I said four shack members.
She said 4 shack members.
So you're going back to 3
parents
and 1
and 1 community member. Or, because I said at least 3 parents, you can choose to do all parents and not do a community member.
I think we need to, stick with the 4 parents, 1 parent per community member per SMD, and 1 community member, and then, of course, we're going to be a little bit off with the math on the, the community members, but I think each one of us should be able to place at least 1 parent per community, per,
I agree,
member
and
thing, yeah.
the change to this amendment allows you to do that, because you have to have at least 3 parents, but you can choose to have all 4 of your people be parents, or you can choose to have one of those persons be a community member, but you have to, of your 4, 3 have to be parents, but all 4 can be parents, and 1 can be a community member.
No, I want to keep it with the 4. I
So-
want to keep the parents and then the
Understood,
community members.
I don't accept that
So-
friendly amendment.
So
I don't accept that.
The amendment, I guess your amended motion.
My amended
has
motion,
made
yes.
to clarify the numbers. I guess do I have an amended second for that?
See, we already are, Dr. Broom and.
Do I hang on a second, we need to get do I have anybody that will support that? I'm not sure, honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not sure how to, because I made the second originally. Do I have to second again? Does anybody know, to tell you the truth? Or do we just take your amendment and vote on it? Oh, sorry.
I'm amending my motion.
So I'm definitely the one that likes the clean math, but I think this is a place we can compromise, because I think there's a strong enough voice saying they want 1 parent on each standing
Yes,
committee.
and
And I'm not willing, I want us to honor our community members.
I would
Yeah.
just hate to, so you'd have to choose. I want a parent on each committee, but I also want, because I know how important that community voice is.
Right.
And the resources and the experiences and that sort of bird's eye view of the community and what goes on that they can bring. So I would hate to be put in a spot where I had to choose only 3 parents and 1 community member. or
But you don't.
4.
You can choose all 4 to be parents. And
Right,
here,
but I think that community voice is also very
the
important.
community voice is also important. And so there are a lot of things I'm struggling with as I put this together in my head, right? As I look at SMD2 in particular, we're older. we're older and we are heavy magnet. And we've just said that it has to be people that live in the community, that have the flavor of that community and that demographic, right? And that's harder for us to get, at least for me to get, because my moms and my dads work all day. They can't make a noon meeting, right? And so we haven't put,
So I want to interrupt just for a minute.
Yeah.
Can we move that? I think that's not on the table right now.
No, and that's the shack can decide,
Okay.
I think.
right? But they've decided, I mean, when I first started looking at Shaq, the great gentleman, and I don't remember his name, he was like, yep, we meet at noon. And then we just voted that you have to be in person to vote. So right away, we've excluded people by the way we've set up the committee. But I've got 68% or more of my population who are retired and at home and super smart, and that can make a noon meeting and add value and resources in a way that some of my other parents wouldn't be able to, right? For the efficiency committee, the mom that I got, she's amazing. One of the moms that I got is like, I'm doing this because my principal asked me to, right? And she was able to get off of work in time to go to the, thank God for Dr. Micah, 5:00 meeting that he said. But we've set this up to make it very difficult for parents to attend that have to go to work every day from 9 to 5. So that's one. The other thing is, when we have 5, the math is off. And now one member district is overrepresented on a committee versus another. And now Dr. Broom said it's lopsided. If we have 4, we're no longer lopsided. And I would just offer that this is a two-way door. If we get into this and we're like, no, we're going to need to get another parent, then we change it, which is why I tried to make the number so wide, so broad, right?
And I think, and we give ourselves that flexibility that this comes before us annually or as requested. And so I think with that, I would accept as a second that I had that I will second the amendment as well on your motion, as you have it written so far.
And see, right now, we've just put ourselves in a box. And this is why, because you have Magnet on your campus, and the people that are they're heavily invested in their children are the ones that have their children in your Magnet program. So what effectively we have done is we have put ourselves in a box, and we have taken those people out of the equation, which makes it more difficult for you as a trustee to actually appoint people. Because as you said, your people in your community have to work. So this is one reason why I wanted to add that bit of flexibility.
Yeah, I think first I want to say that all of my parents, whether they are Magnet or not, are heavily invested in their children. We just have a different way that we can go about supporting our children based on where we sit. So I don't want anyone to think that Magnet parents are more committed to their children than people that live in SMD2, because that is not true.
I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
so
offend.
So
that was not how I meant it.
and what I'm offering here expands the box and allows us the flexibility to consider something that we have never considered before. And the beautiful thing about it is that if we find out it doesn't work, we come back, and I'm happy to make the motion and ask you to second it, and we flip it. It's that easy.
Well, see, I'm listening to what our current SHAC members are actually saying. We asked them to come here to give their opinion, and essentially we're telling them that what they're telling us does not count.
No, as a trustee, we take in all sides of things. So we appreciate them being here, and they give us recommendations. And we take that information with all the other information we're entrusted with to make the decision. And so we can't pin it on and say, well, well, we just listened to this one group, we just listened to that one group. We have multiple emails, we've had speakers come and talk. And at this point, I think if anybody else has any discussion that can move the conversation along, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I will just say, some of the emails that we got as a group said what Tracy's saying. So I'm unsettled on it. I like the math and so forth, but I will say that some of the SHAC members that wrote us, they recommended one single-member district per standing committee. And one of them actually said 3 community members, 3 parents, heavier on parents, and 1 community member.
And again, that's one email that we got. And so, as a trustee, I think you've made your opinion made. I have, Ms. Gigi has. Does anybody else have any comments about the motion and the second at this point?
Can
All right.
can we
Ms.
have
Cox?
the motion reread?
Ms. Shelton?
Sorry. Do I need to put a colon in front of that?
Do you think can you get there?
Can you help me? Or is she allowed to help me? I have a mess. Oh, you have a mess? Okay.
I'm going to try again. Are you going to try? Am I going to
Well,
try?
and yeah, I mean, so far the motion, it's going to get caught in the video. And
Here we go.
If you can at least get it paraphrased enough.
Section 5, size of shack, : the shack shall have no fewer than 28 members and a maximum of 40 members. The shack shall have no more than 28 parents, legal guardian members, and no more than 7 community members. And at least 1 district employee for each standing committee. Each trustee shall appoint 4 members to the shack, of which at least 3 must be parents/legal guardians of children in the district.
Does that give you the recap you were looking for?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm tired. But I thought you said that the shack shall have no fewer than 28 parent legal guardian members.
I did.
But then you added a line where it says,
So if you, so out of the 4 people, you can either have 4 parents, or you can have 3 parents and 1 community member.
so basically what we're doing is going from 5 appointees to 4.
Right. And we had to, remember, I was asked to add the line about what we had to appoint. That was not originally in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you say the
And at
district
least-
composition, district employees? You said 1 per standing
At
committee.
least 1 district employee for each standing committee.
And then would we, in addition, have the administrative liaison?
Does that count in our?
They're not a member of
They're not a
the-
member?
They're not a member of SHAC. They're
No.
just the
No?
go-between.
Okay,
Correct.
sorry about that.
Yeah. We changed the word a couple weeks ago. Now it's liaison. Does that help, Ms. Cox?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So that is the motion and the second was made earlier, but that was the recap of the motion. So with that, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, so I had 4 ayes and 2 nays. All right, motion passes 4-2. All right, we are done with that. Yeah, we're finished. Look at that. Item 12, new business for possible board action. A, instruction and campus administration. 1, possible action regarding modified schedule for state testing days waiver 2024 through 2027. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Mike Mills, Board Executive Staff. I would like to ask Dr. Esma Munoz to come forward to see if you have any questions about this agenda item.
Good evening. I'm just here to check if y'all have any questions regarding the board action item with modified testing days.
Does anybody have any questions or clarifications they need? Do I have a motion to approve the proposed modified schedule for state assessment testing days waiver for state and college readiness assessments?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Chigi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Villarreal. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Munoz. Item B, Business Services, possible action regarding resolution indicative of the Board of Trustees Annual Review of Investment Program. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Mike, executive staff, and guests. Tonight we bring you the annual investment report to review, and then if it's okay to pass that resolution. I can answer any questions on it if there's any.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the resolution as provided to us?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Questions, comments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, item C, consent. 1, business services. A, resolution approving sources of instruction relating to investment responsibilities. B, broker-dealer authorization. C, waiver of penalties and interest. D, over 50,000 purchases. E, bid items, school nutrition services. 2, minutes from August 1st and 27th and September 2024. 3, end of consent. Do I have a member wishing to pull any items from consent for discussion? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve consent as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Chigi. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Item 13, reports. A, interim financial and management reports. B, awarded bid report. C, federal grants report. D, open records request report. Those have all been provided to you. Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding board members' request for items to be placed on a future agenda and/or request for reports from the administration. Do I have the trustee wishing to have something on a future agenda item?
So I
Ms.
don't
Chigi?
need this to be an agenda item. I would just like to see what our attendance looks like after the first 9 weeks. And then I think we would have that from last year, so that could be an email. It doesn't have to be a report. I would just like to see how we're doing.
When does the official date? Is it in October?
Well, the end of the 9
Yeah,
weeks.
So
Yeah,
actually,
9
we
weeks.
take attendance by 6 weeks.
That's right.
Correct, Dan? Every 6
Yeah,
weeks,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it would be an every 6-week report. So if you were asking for a 9-week, that would be a
No,
report.
6 is fine.
Okay, yeah. We have last year's 6 weeks and this 6 weeks, so we can send it to you. That's a document we possess.
So it can just be an email to all of us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Villarreal, I did want to mention in the presentation for the ESL and dual language, the request you had for breaking it down by single-member district is not a report that the district has, as I understand it. And so they would have to produce that report. So the staff would have to spend the time to put that together, which means we have to vote on it. So if you would, I just wanted to offer that to you if you are.
Before I do this, how complicated would it be to get that report done?
I don't know. So, I mean, I don't want to misspeak, and so I would need to get with our bilingual department and see how difficult that would be to pull. So I don't want to tell you it's easy. I don't want to tell you it's difficult. I really just don't know at this time.
Can I offer this, if it doesn't take you too much effort to even check that question? Can he get back to us, and then we can bring it to a future meeting to take action if we need to?
I agree with that.
Okay, if you can just email Dr. Micah whatever that answer is, whether it take us 4 days or 2 hours, and then we can go from there.
And I'm wondering, could we just not see it by our schools?
Well,
The schools probably already have it.
I think they're still having to massage, because when they go through testing and qualifiers and different things like that, it could send you the wrong message versus accurate information. So let me do some research, and then I'll send something to you guys, if that's okay.
Does that, well,
And remember, since PEAM's snapshot is until the 25th, it's going to take us a while to you're using the word massage, I'm going to use it, clean it up. Is that, kids are coming in and out still, believe it or not. We're still enrolling kids, we're still losing kids, so it's back and forth, so we're not going to have a stable number until after PEAMS ends.
So when is it, I'm just wondering if it would be more beneficial to wait until after the PEAMS comes in.
Sure.
And then it would allow us to actually get a snapshot. Would that be easier, better?
It would make it more accurate for you, and that's
Okay.
what she was saying, is that by December, they should have a more clear idea of exactly what the numbers are, and can probably tease that out by your district pretty easily.
Yeah, and just for the good of the order here, let me explain why PEAMS is so important. That's how we get funding. So they ended in October, and then we spend months what they call cleaning it up, because we need to make certain that what we're reporting for students is accurate and is in our schools appropriately.
And, yes, sir, and then we have another submission at the end of January.
Right. But by after October, it's usually we've
Yeah, it's
cleaned
always
it
the
up.
last Friday in October.
Right,
that we
but by
do
December, we're
submission.
pretty close
Oh, yeah.
to what it is.
That's fair.
that works?
That works.
And, okay,
Sorry for clarity.
yes.
So you guys would like it after we get everything cleaned up by December with that information, if it's doable, correct?
I don't believe in double work.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, item 15, adjournment, and the time is 8:58.